The throne of earth, which is to say, the power structure which defines the fate of this world, is not the same as the throne of heaven. On the earth, power is determined by the actions of mankind, which are based upon our perception, while in heaven and higher realms, the powers which rule over them cannot be deceived and are highly resistant to all destructive temptations. It is only in this realm, where all are bound in the illusions of perception, separation, and often confusion, and must unravel many falsehoods to regain higher truth, that certain problems and conspiracies have any possibility of occurring. And the root of all wicked conspiracies is this: to separate the will of souls from a higher purpose, so as to more easily direct and steal their power. This is done in many ways, which are very difficult for most humans who do not even wish to imagine such vast selfishness or monstrosity to fully understand, though the purpose is always the same: to take the power of our actions by formulating and controlling our beliefs and motivation. By attempting to drown mankind in the noise of our own thoughts, we are often bound in the pursuit of sinful impulses and the worship of impure idols, rather than contemplating and understanding our sacred role as stewards of the earth and pursuing meaningful knowledge and purpose and reverence for what is truly sacred, because that would threaten the impure power and curses which have been built upon our perception. And of course, I've talked about this many times, but until this root understanding of the nature of the motivation of the selfish polarity of consciousness is well anchored into the general understanding of mankind, mankind at large is not prepared to dive deeper into the true nature of reality. And that's not an insult, that's just an observation of the work that all souls have to do in able to approach higher truth and purpose. You have to be able to confront knowledge of good and evil. When souls are separated from a higher purpose to serve God by manifesting a more benevolent and generative structure to the social hierarchy of the world we dwell in, they also often lose many higher functions of their spirit and mind, their ability to contemplate and discern valuable information. If someone desires only to be pleased in their own mind, why should they struggle to unravel evil and deceptions around them? They won't. Their sense of value and pleasure, being based not in a noble and virtuous purpose, but in sinful desires such as lust, vanity, pride, wrath, the worship of pyrite idols, popular Instagram and TikTok videos which possess no redemptive wisdom, celebrities who would never dare speak a word which might upset people by asking them to think. When the sense of value and pleasure is based in these things, the very nature of the soul becomes more like a predictable machine or animal than a creative spirit capable of meaningful manifestation. They lose the ability to manifest anything but their wants, which bind them to the karma of this realm and drown them in the noise of their own minds. And the only way that people can be freed from that curse is by helping them to desire the contemplation of the awe of the mystery of creation and the conceptualization of true purity and true purpose. And of course, many people are awakening to very important fragments of this knowledge and purpose, though this is occurring parallel to and outside of the artificial limitations of those souls who have bound themselves in lower frequencies, which continues to be a majority of not just the general population, but those who consider themselves the intellectual and financial elite. Yet they, dwelling in their ideal flavor of darkness, do not have the power of truth within them. So their power is built upon a foundation of ignorance, which may be washed away in the coming age by those who persevere through the trials and tribulations to pursue the clarity of divine purpose. And divine purpose may extrapolate into near infinite complexity, but is at the entry level fairly simple. To be good stewards of the earth and not destroy her in our short-sighted pursuit of desire and wealth. To live in harmony with nature, to be respectful and dignified, even in argument. To love our neighbors as a community of brothers and sisters, to protect the delicate and gentle psychology of children from harm, and to provide them with always greater opportunity and prosperity than the generation before them. All those things are sacred, even if they're pretty obvious. But the more one wishes to serve God and manifest a balanced and symbiotic future, the more complicated and elaborate that service shall become. Those who are called to be warriors of God are often the most misunderstood of all souls, for this world is filled with accusers, and no other world has endured the blasphemies of Satan or of Lucifer, and of all the other fallen spirits like this one has. It is for this reason that many speak of the universe, or of nature, or of source with awe, and they understand therein the energy of God. But if one says that the connection and intelligence and in splendor they see throughout the universe and these other things that they use, and these other words that they use, if one says that that is the handiwork of God, many of these people become fearful and divided against you, and try to project their limitations of the construct of God. And that's because there have been very profound blasphemies done by evil spirits in this world to pervert and confuse the perception of the Spirit of God, which always serves to detach mankind from our harmonizing higher purpose and bind us in impure karma to control our will and our thoughts. So when God's warriors are called to invade this sinful realm, which is ruled by the illusion of perception and not by truth, we will always have to endure blasphemies and accusations. Though our purpose is always simply to offer salvation, enlightenment, and the enrichment of the soul to all who desire it, and to improve the eternal future of the world for everyone. However, the development of righteous will and clarity and purpose regarding the Spirit of God and the noble understanding of one's own origins and nature, all of that is a threat to those who harvest the energy of misguided souls for their own power. And one will simply never understand the earth if one does not understand the nature of the pursuit of power without love, and also understanding how deeply separated human perception is from truth. But they're just different concepts, of course. Also, I'm going to add one thing to my script here, that the idea of harvesting energy isn't just some mythical thing. A lot of times people treat this construct of energy harvest as if it's just some spiritual concept, but it's our actions. It's what we do with our time. If we spend our time reading certain things, that's harvesting our energy. If we spend our time watching certain things, that's harvesting our energy. If they take somebody who's very talented and very intelligent, and they initiate them into a cult of wealth and say, okay, now we'll make you rich and famous, but only if you sing things that are parasitic to the spirits of children, things that tempt other souls to weaken themselves and to be bound in sinful things, then that's harvesting the energy of a talented spirit and using it to further harvest the actions and the will of others. So that's what energy harvest is. It's not just evil spirits attacking us in our sleep, which is part of it, but that only works if we don't have the spiritual armor because we've been weakened in other ways. Anyways, Since we do not fight against merely flesh and blood, but against principalities of darkness, which have been cursed to be invisible and mute towards mankind, so that they cannot with their evil tongues drive individuals to madness and despair and drain the energy of their souls as they would desire. Our holy war is only partly against these cults of wickedness which bind humanity in illusion and sin, but it is primarily in the development of the armor of God, which is spiritual wisdom and psychological knowledge, which can teach all who wish to manifest righteous power how to endure the blasphemies and evils which they must deal with in this ignorant, or from those who are ignorant and those who are wicked, and persevere to fulfill higher purpose in this world. Yet, of course, because this world is ruled by perception and not truth, the process of this awakening must compete against all the distractions this world offers, and not everyone's going to accept awakening. In heaven, when we shine the light of truth and wisdom, our authority is apparent for all to see. But on earth, when we shine the light of truth and wisdom, we may be scorned, misunderstood, conspired against, sometimes cast to the fringe of society, as if the love and wisdom which can free souls from karma and bring prosperity and justice to this world is just equivalent to the despicable ramblings of a foolish lunatic. In heaven, if you remember me and remember my words, I will greet you, and I'll reveal to you the bounty of my spirit and my love. For in heaven I enforce the laws of karma, the laws of divine judgment which determine the destiny of souls. Yet on earth, this love which represents the energy that created all things, and which seeks primarily to clarify the natural process by which all souls may be baptized in flame, to regain the purity of will if they so desire, and to revive in all religions and through all spiritual practices the logic which may guide all with eyes to see in the coming age towards the kind of clarity which cannot be buried or clouded by the illusions of monsters and clowns on earth. On earth, this love is an alien invasion. And as an alien invader, ambassador, and spiritual counselor to the people of the earth, I know that your hearts shall accuse me of many things, but I hope that you do not believe that I am proud. For I know I have not yet translated the importance of certain truths which God has placed upon my heart to speak openly into this realm of perception and desire, truths regarding the natural process of awakening and how to bypass and skip over much of the confusion and paranoia which naturally comes along with it. Truths regarding the consequences of sin and karma as they're playing out all around us. And truths regarding the profound love that God feels for mankind through all of our suffering and all of our ignorance. It is my nature and purpose to clarify these things for those who wish to understand them. But I don't take pride in my nature because I know that I haven't made it yet. Everything that I've done so far has been kind of cast aside by the world. And I have a lot that I need to do to ensure the prosperity and awakening of mankind in the coming age. Everybody else who's awakening, and everybody who's fighting in secret against this beast system, which is dragging souls into a machine-like nature of primitive consumption, these people who are unraveling the cults of profane power, which have sold themselves to demons to maintain control over the perception of people. Those people, you're the ones whose work deserves more honor and who are carrying the burden of my own failure to establish clarity and understanding among more people, as God has asked me to do. And of course, part of my struggle is due to the fact that I continue to speak in such a manner that it does sound a little bit alien to the natural conversation mechanisms of the general population. But I'm hoping to resolve that by speaking more directly with people in the future. Because it is actually a lot easier to offer people the knowledge that they need, and also to let them resonate with my spirit when I speak directly with people, rather than writing 700 pages of poetry and philosophy and reading it to the internet. Imagine that. Alien wizard persona isn't entirely relatable to a population which has been trauma conditioned and abused to worship demonic imagery and philosophies which harm their own future by binding them in pride and lust and wrath. It never has been super relatable. You can see it in all the scriptures. People are always a little bit weirded out by the ones who are called to serve. Anyways, I'm going to repeat the original point. To be perceived as having wisdom, power, or authority is dramatically different from having wisdom, power, or authority. And yet, because the lives of men are built upon perception, and it is perception which rules over mankind, regardless of truth, it is important to care as much about perception as about actually having truth. Yet to recognize the lack of true value in perception, or in popularity, or in all the mechanisms which bind our attention, is actually a great gift to give one another, as this recognition is necessary to ever pursue truth in this world. And it also helps us to discover our own passions and actual interests, rather than being bound to the perception of other people's perceptions. And always, if we want to give gifts to others, we have to present them in ways that appeal to perception. Yet if we wish to test whether others are worthy of gifts, we may present them in ways that are less appealing, so only those with a curious or insightful demeanor might unwrap them. And that's part of the beauty of being bound in this realm of perception, that such tests may occur all around us, asking us if we know the symbolism of the planets and the zodiac and of ancient architecture and of numerology and of religions. Yet, because there has been perceived and understood such a benefit to preventing the evolution of such consciousness among mankind, it is not entirely appropriate to leave these tests in such a state that people won't succeed in unraveling them. Because these fallen spirits know that they can enslave people if they can't imagine some of this knowledge. So all of these teachings, they're going to be laid plain in the coming age. They're being laid plain now. You can look them all up all over the place, but they're not going to be on the news. Anyways, it's my prayer that the evolution of the global society will renormalize its reverence for wisdom and for sacred things, and its respect for those who seek to understand the construct of resolving all problems in creation, which always actually has everything to do with God's will and the sacred science of the purification of the soul. That's where all of our problems are coming from, and the lack of purpose, lack of understanding our purpose. And I also pray that people won't have to remain trapped in this karma, in this sinful behavior which cycles it in on itself, but the people should persevere. and find what your purpose is. Because we're here to fix this planet. A lot of people understand that. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching. Always remember that everything that we learn creates within us the responsibility to teach that knowledge to others who might benefit from it, so long as they won't use it for harm. And if there's anything that you wish for me to elaborate on, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm going to go ahead and show you the script that I just read, just in case you would prefer to read it rather than listening.